the lowest floor of your house or the lowest floor of your apartment. It's also going to be, if you have an outdoor shelter, hopefully you were already there. If not, now is not the time to leave inside that tornado warning. It's simply too late. A lot of dangerous lightning also associated with this storm. In addition to that, flash flooding will also be a possibility. Surrounding that tornado warning, we continue to have the severe thunderstorm warning for Cherokee, Gregg, Rusk, and Smith County. That goes until 10:15. So this thunderstorm is essentially moving into an area where there is just a little more, let's say, change of wind direction or wind speed as we go higher up into the atmosphere. So because of that, it's in that environment. That tornado tag was placed on that with the dashed lines, and now it has been upgraded to a tornado warning being issued. Let me go inside that storm once again. We were looking at a fairly decent little couplet here near New Summerfield. It does look like it's weakened just a little bit. It may become broader as we head through time. Let's hope for that to happen. I did not see any type of damage being associated with it, but there was a lot of lightning in here, and all of that lightning would indicate that we have a strong updraft of wind that would sustain that thunderstorm and help it to rotate or spin. And if it can rotate, then it can produce a spin up on the ground. But right now, it looks like, as we look at our reflectivity mode here, just a lot of heavy rainfall, a very thin area of heavy rain. Let me see what the hail corridor, hail parameters are. Not strong. Typically, if you're going to have a very strong updraft in a stronger tornado, you'll have a better hail signature there. Right now it's showing marble-sized hail possible. So again, it may be a tornado-warned storm based on what we're seeing in terms of some that little bright red area against that bright green area. Let me check to see if the National Weather Service has any new information for us. They did say that they were watching another area closer to Jefferson, northeast of Jefferson, for the possibility of a tornado warning, but that has been there was no tornado warning issued there. All right, nothing from the Weather Service, just that a tornado warning was coming on that cell, as I pointed out, northwest of New Summerfield. Also, just that area of enhanced of shear, which is what we were looking at, meaning that there is a change of wind direction or wind speed with height. So from the surface to, say, where the radar beam is shooting here in Cherokee County, about 5,000 or 6,000 feet, it's seeing the red going away from the radar and the green going back toward Shreveport National Weather Service radar. So we saw a tighter little couplet about 5 minutes ago. This latest scan, it looks like it has weakened just a little bit. Still, please be in your safe place and stay there, especially if you live in Price or Turnertown, as this cell continues to move out toward those two areas. Blackjack is now behind it. Even though you still have that tornado warning in place, you're fine in Blackjack. Also, you're fine in Troop at this time. It is this area here that we continue to watch. Let me circle that for us here and just kind of give us an idea of what we're watching. We're looking right in here in the direction of that. So we've got what we have going on here, of course. We're going to have winds blowing away from the radar, and then winds coming back toward the radar. So that's creating that twisting in the atmosphere and has prompted that tornado warning. Again, that's inside an area where there is a severe thunderstorm warned cell. There's quite a bit of wind inside this cell. If I switch this mode over here and we move out of checking, what we're doing here is we're taking the movement of the cell itself out of the storm so that we're able to see the direction of the precipitation particles moving inside that cell. Now, if we just look at wind itself and then watch what I do here, we're going to sample some of the wind speeds. And I was looking at some wind speeds that were up in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range a little while ago. Now, between Troop and White House, they seem to be a little bit weaker, but around 50 miles an hour out toward Troop, down toward Blackjack, 47 to 50 miles an hour there. So it may be that what we're seeing is perhaps a quick spin up with the thunderstorm sort of gusting out. So the thunderstorm may have actually been in a weakening mode, and so there were downdrafts of wind that were flowing out, but there was enough rotation showing up in the radar that it indicated that there could have been a small tornado. Just looking at the winds itself, and you can see these brighter green areas here, they are not getting up there. 55 miles an hour would be close to severe thunderstorm warned. The gate-to-gate shear here, so there's not a tremendous amount of shear inside that cell. So just enough, perhaps, to create a quick spin up. All right, let me go back to our storm relative velocity. We got a new I'm sorry, we got a new scan in. And again, if you live in Price, please be in your lowest room of your house that you can be, because this cell is going to cross over. And because it's dark, it's so hard to see. We can't really tell any features from storm spotters, and storm spotters have not reported anything with that cell. But because it is after the sun has set, we're looking at a tough. You just have to wait for some lightning to flare up, and hopefully that lightning can give you a better view of what that thunderstorm looks like down on the surface. But it would be right in here, which is sort of an unusual area to find a tornado. There it does look like there's wind moving into the thunderstorm here just to the east of Blackjack, and there may also be some winds flowing in here, out here toward Henderson as the storm approaches Henderson, and then that air is being pulled into the storm, and it's rising, it's cooling, condensing, and then perhaps it's descending as it gets colder, and it's creating that little bit of rotation in that area there. So it looks like a fairly wide circulation right now, southwest of Price. It was toward New Summerfield about 15 minutes ago, but again, it's moved up pretty quickly to the north and east. So let me see if I can grab onto this. If not, I'll just try to play this back for us one or two times just to give an idea of the movement there. It came across Blackjack, and then as it moved across Blackjack toward New Summerfield, there's a severe thunderstorm warning on it. You'll see right there near New Summerfield. So it had a pretty good little couplet starting to show up, but that was at 10 o'clock. So that was 20 minutes ago. And then we get one more in here. Now it tightened up. There might have been a brief touchdown there. Hard to tell. We'll get an indication from the Weather Service later. The tornado warning was issued. That was 9:15. At 9:20, that moves by Blackjack. And now the circulation widening out and really becoming wide. In fact, they've taken Blackjack, New Summerfield, Troop out of that tornado warning. And I really think it's just Price that has to be concerned at this time, unless we get this tornado warning extended farther to the north toward Henderson. So if you live in Henderson right now, you don't necessarily have to go to your shelter at this moment, but if you live in Henderson, here's what you need to do. You need to gather up some belongings, start thinking about, well, where is my shelter? Hopefully you already know where it is, and you're kind of waiting to see if you have to go or not, and you'll know once this part of the cell crosses over Highway 42 if it will be time, because in the most likely scenario here, we have about 25 minutes to go on this tornado warning until 10 o'clock. Interesting to note that Smith County is still included in that. It's going to be the very southeastern corner of Smith County. Tyler is not included in this tornado warning. White House is not included in the tornado warning. Troop is not included in the tornado warning. The rest of us are fine. New Chapel Hill not included. It's really, and if we could just kind of condense this down to a smaller area, it's really here along Highway 42 between Turnertown and Price that has the most concern. Now, sometimes these cells can turn to the right a little bit, and so you have to extend those warnings down here toward FM 839 south. But for the most part, the way this cell has been moving, it's been moving north and eastward. It came out of Blackjack, crossed 110, moved out of Blackjack, and then moved over toward Price. It's producing a lot of rainfall. There's vivid lightning with this storm also. And let me see if there's any hail with it. Again, sometimes in these cells you'll have some hail, which would indicate that you've got a strong updraft in the thunderstorm. And the strong updraft in the thunderstorm would indicate you have a lot of ice in the storm, which could create a lot of rainfall. But you could also have the ability for the cell to begin to rotate and for the rotation to sustain itself. Right now, not seeing any hail core, as it looks like that may have dissipated. So if the hail core dissipated, we'll get another pass here in about 3 to 6 minutes, and then we'll get new data that will pop in as this cell crosses right over Price right now. One more thing we can check to see if there's any kind of debris. Some of these yellows, so anywhere here in the pink, this is just going to be rain. There could be a few hailstones being lofted into the storm all the way back toward Troop or back toward Blackjack. There's no indication that these are what we would call, I want to call them non-biological products, that these would be something of the nature of, non-biological products, something of the nature of like building materials or something like that. So this is likely going to be maybe a little bit of hail in there, some ice trying to show up inside the storm. So back to the radar, and you can see just that has been trimmed down ever so much here, east of Troop, southwest of Henderson. Henderson, again, this is the time to think about heading to your shelter. But at this time, we're going to wait and see. We'll get one more pass on this and see exactly where it goes. We'll see if the Weather Service extends this. They may extend this out toward more into Rusk County past 10 o'clock, but right now it goes until 10 o'clock for Cherokee, Rusk, and Smith County. There is a severe thunderstorm warning continuing for a large chunk of Smith County in the southeastern part, and that's because if I go back here to the reflectivity, you're going to notice quite a bit of rain and thunderstorms here south and east. Tyler, not included in the severe thunderstorm warning, certainly not included in the tornado warning. Also, if we look up here toward Longview, not included in the severe thunderstorm warning doesn't mean you couldn't be included into the severe thunderstorm warning for wind gusts. But right now, your strongest winds, your strongest indication of rotation, and it looks like it's fairly wide, is going to be down here toward Henderson with that tornado warning in effect until 10 o'clock. But it does include Smith County, but again, look how small of a portion it is. Look at Cherokee County. I know Cherokee County is in that tornado warning. Your weather radio may have gone off for a tornado warning in Jackson or in Cherokee County. Does not include Jacksonville. It includes this tiny little corner here. And in Rusk County, this is one of the powers of being able to do what they call polygon warnings, is to really kind of drill down onto the exact areas where these warnings are. So if you live in McKnight, for instance, there's no need to take shelter. That storm is not heading toward you. If you live in Laneville or Cushing, that part of the cell also not headed toward you at this time. It's really Price that it's crossing over at this time that would have the biggest threat for a potential of something to touch down briefly. And we're going to wait here for this one more pass here. And I can put a little timeline on it. It is moving out to the northeast at about 38 miles an hour. It's a pretty succinct little cell here. So if we take this out and take it out to about 38 miles an hour as I step out so we can get a better feel for that. Let me stop around 35. And you'll notice that Henderson would be about 9:49. So about 9 minutes, this storm could be approaching Henderson. New Prospect, 9:57. Durgin around 10:15. Tatum around 10:21. And Carthage at about 10:30. So that would be the line that this cell would be on currently, with a little bit of a deviation there at the end as you spread things out for air. All right, looks like we got a new pass on this, and it looks like it is now lifted north and east of Price. So in about 6 minutes, Price should be able to clear from your shelter. West Farm to Market Road 13 also should be able to clear. Back to the east on FM 13, you should be fine right now. Troop again is fine. I think the southern part of this tornado warning down toward Pleasant Grove and FM 839 South, if you live anywhere close to FM 839 South, you're fine. Anywhere on 42 south of Price going toward McKnight, even though the current tornado warning continues, I think you're also fine. So it looks like it's going to be mainly now between Turnertown and Price over towards 64, which would be our biggest concern toward Joinerville. So if you live in Joinerville, please take shelter right now, at least until 10 o'clock. It's only about 19 minutes, and you can hang out there. Keep watching us here on CBS 19 Plus or on CBS 19, or of course streaming on our mobile app, also on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page, where we try to answer questions for you. We've seen a lot of thunderstorms move through, and they've really gotten kind of heavier here within the last few minutes. But I'll give you the big picture view here of everything. You can see the rain is coming to an end at Tyler. We are seeing thunderstorms still in the Longview area. And as we continue to watch these showers move off to the northeast, we watch the lightning. This is the most concentrated area of lightning right now that moved out of Jacksonville. There was concern on a cell up here toward Jefferson. That looks like that has weakened, but still has the potential to produce some wind gusts. Let me go look at that. There's a little bit of lightning in there between Bloomberg down toward Jefferson, over toward Linden. This is just going to be moderate rain back here toward Ore City, thunderstorm around Ore City right now, and Gilmer. But I would not have any concerns about anything becoming tornadic up in this area. Certainly not back toward Hawkins. Rain is winding down for Mineola, though there may be another downpour. And in Tyler, there's a little bit of rain. Rain will come to an end here shortly, and then it'll be done until about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. There'll be another band that will come through. Not severe, but you might see a downpour of rain or two. And then this was a heavier part of the cell that came across Anderson County. And now that's weakening as it gets closer to Alto. So if you're wondering, if you live at Wells, you live at Alto, you live at Cushing, Kennard, Grapeland, Lovelady, Groveton, Nacogdoches, Lufkin, you're fine for the night. You're not going to see severe weather. This is the cell that has moved into the area that is most conducive for any type of a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. And in fact, we do have that tornado warning, again, for Cherokee, Rusk, and Smith County. But what I want to emphasize here is even though we have 3 counties in a tornado warning, it's the scope of each county, and look how small it is. You're talking about the extreme southeastern corner of Smith County, the western, just the western center, central western portion of Rusk County, does not include the city of Henderson. And then you get into very northeastern Cherokee County, rest of Cherokee County, including the city of Jacksonville and Rusk. Right now, even though there's a severe thunderstorm warning for the next half hour, it's more in line due to the potential for some very gusty winds and maybe a little hail core there, north or just east of Jacksonville. In fact, let me zoom in on that area. We just had it near Blackjack. There could be a little bit of hail. So let me see if there is any hail in that. We'll investigate. Yeah, so there's a little bit of hail right there around Blackjack, and it's showing up. It looks like it's marble-sized hail. But it's interesting to note that over the cell that is of most concern, I'm not seeing any updrafts here that would support. There's a little strengthening updraft again, but nothing that would support in terms of hail that would support enough rotation to get us into a tornado warning. But hopefully still in Price, you are in your safe place right now and staying there until this cell crosses off to the north of Highway 64. Let me check to see if the Weather Service is updating anything. They're pretty good about in what they call the Weather Service chat room. They'll give us an indication, tell us what's happening with the storm. And right now, okay, so in Rusk County, they say they're getting visuals of a wall cloud with lightning, but rotation is still lacking. All right, so there's a lowering in Rusk County as that storm's moving into Rusk County out of Price and into Rusk County. Also just received report of wind damage to a house and a pole barn at Highway 135 at County Road 4212 in Jacksonville. That was about 9 o'clock. That came from a ham radio operator in Smith County. But that was in Jacksonville at about 9 o'clock. All right, so now the Weather Service says, given the weakening nature of the storm, not planning to continue the tornado warning downstream, still possible that another tornado warning could be needed on this storm, but think the severe warning with tornado possible mention covers the current conditions well. All right, so we will take a break then here in just a little bit. It looks like we're going to have this tornado warning, I believe, either canceled or they may let it ride up until about 10 o'clock and then let it expire. If that's the case, I've got to stay on till 10 till we know for sure that they're going to, I guess what they're saying is they're not going to issue this tornado warning into more of Rusk County. But again, there could have been some wind damage back here toward Jacksonville. Highway 135 at County Road 4212. So let me come back into that area. That is long past the storm, but it would have been out here, probably north, more toward Pomona, kind of in that where that cell moved across, and it was heaviest as it came across that area. So that was a long time ago. It was about 46 minutes ago when I did measure a wind gust of about 55 to 60 miles an hour. That was the cell that moved across Blackjack and now is up here toward Price. So the heaviest thunderstorm currently is northwest of Henderson. And all right, so the tornado warning at 9:47 is canceled. All right, so they've canceled the tornado warning for Cherokee, Rusk, and Smith County. All right, so tornado warning canceled now. Cherokee, Rusk, and Smith County still have the severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15. All right, thank you for watching our expanded and I guess, special coverage of our severe weather that we had here tonight for Cherokee County and Rusk and Smith County for that tornado warning. The tornado threat has subsided. Tornado warning has been canceled. Severe thunderstorm warnings, though, continue until 10:15. We will see you in just a few minutes on CBS 19 News at 10 and streaming on CBS 19 Plus.
Test, test. Test. Test, test. Okay.
You don't? Would you be willing to do it?
There you go. Thank you.